Long before the first humans walked the Earth, and even before the dinosaurs saw their final days, our planet was already a battlefield. The combatants? Ants. For over 160 million years, these tiny creatures have been locked in a state of perpetual planet-wide warfare. It's a conflict on a scale that's almost impossible for us to imagine, involving thousands of species and quadrillions of individuals. They have been fighting for territory, resources, and survival since the continents themselves look different than they do today. We often think of ourselves as the dominant species, but in the world of total war, ants have a history that dwarfs our own, making them nature's most seasoned and relentless warmongers. When we look down at an ant trail on the sidewalk, we're only seeing a tiny fraction of an incredible global empire. There are more than 16,000 known species of ants, and they have colonized almost every single landmass on Earth, with the icy continent of Antarctica being the only exception. From the sweltering rainforests of the Amazon to the concrete jungles of our biggest cities, ants are everywhere. Each colony acts like a single superorganism, a unified nation where every individual works for the good of the whole, and the primary goal of that nation is almost always expansion and conquest, making their world one of constant conflict and struggle for dominance. The sheer number of ants is staggering. If you were to gather up all the ants on the planet and put them on a scale, their combined weight, or biomass, would make up an astounding 20% of all land animals. That means, for every 5 pounds of terrestrial animal life, 1 pound is ants. This incredible population density means that competition is fierce. Colonies are constantly bumping up against each other, vying for the same food sources and nesting sites. This isn't just a casual squabble, it's a fight for existence. For an ant colony, war isn't a choice, it's a biological necessity written into their DNA. The strategies ants use in their wars are as complex and varied as any human military campaign. They use a sophisticated chemical language, releasing pheromones to signal the location of enemies, call for reinforcements, or even spread disinformation to create panic in rival colonies. Some species conduct long sieges, starving out their opponents. Others perform daring raids using tactics like false retreats to lure enemies into deadly ambushes. They even have scouts who will intentionally get captured just to gather intelligence on an enemy's nest. This isn't random chaos, it's organized, strategic warfare perfected over millions of years of evolution. Among the most fearsome warriors in the ant world are the Argentine ants. Originally from the floodplains of the Paraná River in South America, these tiny invaders have achieved something truly remarkable. They've built a global super colony. Transported across the world by human trade ships, a few closely related queens landed on new continents. Because they shared a similar genetic heritage, their descendants didn't see each other as rivals. Instead of fighting, they cooperated. This has resulted in a single massive mega-colony that stretches across Europe, Japan, Australia, and the United States, creating an empire with more individuals than there are humans on Earth. The Argentine ants' method of conquest is a terrifying lesson in overwhelming force. While they may be small, their strength lies in their incredible numbers. When they encounter a larger native ant, they don't fight it one-on-one. Instead, dozens of them will swarm the unfortunate victim, clinging to its legs and antennae, pulling it apart piece by piece. They use chemical markers to paint a target on their enemies, signaling for wave after wave of attackers to join the fray. In places like California, this relentless assault has been devastating, leading to the complete eradication of 90% of all native ant species in the areas they've colonized. What makes the Argentine ant so successful is its explosive growth. Unlike many ant species that have a single queen, an Argentine ant colony has about 1 queen for every 120 workers. Each of these queens is a relentless egg-laying machine, producing around 60 eggs every single day. In a colony of 1 million ants, this means 500,000 new warriors can be produced daily. This allows their territory to expand at an astonishing rate, much like a cancer, consuming everything in its path and replacing the local ecosystem with its own monolithic empire. Their advance seems almost unstoppable. The impact of these conquerors extends far beyond just other ants. Argentine ants have formed a powerful alliance with aphids, small insects that feed on plant sap. The ants protect the aphids from predators like ladybugs, and in return, they milk the aphids for a sugary waste product called honeydew. While this is great for the ants, it's a disaster for the environment. With the ants acting as bodyguards, aphid populations explode into plagues that can suck the life out of entire forests, causing widespread ecological damage and turning vibrant habitats into barren wastelands. Their war reshapes the very world around them. If Argentine ants are conquerors, then army ants are the nomadic barbarians of the ant world. Hailing from the Amazon, these ants, also known as legionary ants, do not build permanent nests. They exist for one purpose: to march and destroy. They move in massive columns that can stretch 100 meters long, a flowing river of millions of hungry predators. A single raiding party can kill and consume up to 500,000 creatures in a single day, devouring everything in their path, from insects and spiders to small lizards and even birds that aren't fast enough to escape the swarm. They are a true force of nature. One of their most spectacular tactics is reserved for attacking other insect nests. When they encounter a rival ant colony or a wasp hive, they don't just attack, they become a living tsunami. They form bridges and ladders with their own bodies to cross gaps or climb trees, sacrificing individuals for the good of the swarm. Defenders are overwhelmed by a sheer wall of bodies, dismembered and carried away. Their raids are legendary, especially when species like the fearsome set their sights on the mighty cities of the leafcutter ants, leading to epic battles fought on mountains of their own dead. In stark contrast to the destructive army ants, leafcutter ants are the master architects and farmers of the insect kingdom. They build astonishingly complex underground cities that can go dozens of meters deep and house millions of citizens, complete with ventilation systems, nurseries, and even cemeteries. For 50 million years, long before humans ever planted a seed, these ants have practiced agriculture. They don't eat the leaves they carry, instead they chew them into a pulp, mix it with their own feces, and use it to grow a specialized fungus that is their only source of food. But don't mistake their sophisticated society for weakness. Leafcutter colonies are defended by a formidable soldier caste. These soldiers can be 100 times the size of a regular worker, equipped with massive mandibles sharp enough to slice an enemy ant clean in half. Yet, even these fortresses can fall. In the American Southeast, a different kind of war rages between the invading Argentine ants and another import, the red fire ant. Larger, more aggressive, and armed with a potent venomous sting, fire ants have managed to do what few others could. They halted the advance of the Argentine supercolony, creating a brutal and bloody front line in one of nature's most intense conflicts. The world of ant warfare is filled with specialists, each evolved with a unique and often bizarre way of fighting. In Malaysia, there are kamikaze ants that, when threatened, can violently explode their own bodies, spraying a sticky, corrosive venom onto their enemies in a final act of sacrifice. Then there are the trapjaw ants, whose mandibles snap shut at over 230 kilometers per hour. The force is so powerful that the recoil can launch the ant several meters into the air. A perfect escape mechanism. These incredible abilities show just how far evolution has pushed ants in their endless arms race. Other ants have developed strategies that seem almost sinister. The bullet ant possesses a sting so painful it's compared to being shot, a neurotoxin it uses as a psychological weapon to send enemy colonies into disarray. Slave-maker ants have perfected the art of kidnapping. They raid neighboring colonies not for food, but to steal pupae. These stolen young are then raised as slaves, working for the enemy colony without ever knowing their true origin. Even more bizarre are the vampire ants of Madagascar, which keep herds of their own kind captive, periodically feeding on their blood-like hemolymph to survive. The wars fought by these tiny titans have huge consequences for the world around us. Their constant battles for territory churn the soil, aerating it and helping to distribute seeds, which is vital for plant life. By preying on other insects, they control pest populations and play a crucial role as both predators and prey in the food web. When an army ant swarm sweeps through a section of rainforest, it acts like a wildfire, clearing out old growth and making way for new life to begin. The rise and fall of their empires can change the face of an entire ecosystem. So, the next time you see an ant, remember that you're not just looking at a simple insect. You're looking at a descendant of an ancient lineage of warriors, a member of a global society whose history is written in conflict. From their complex military tactics and chemical warfare to their incredible feats of engineering and agriculture, ants are a testament to the power of cooperation and the brutal reality of survival. They are not just pests or picnic ruiners. They are the tiny, fascinating architects of our world, and their endless war continues to shape the planet beneath our feet every single day.